Good evening. I'd like to thank you for coming to the Runnemede Zoning and Planning Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioner Knight, we have roll call, please.
Chairperson Lehammer.
Here.
Vice Chairman Dickinson.
He is excused. He's ill.
Deborah Goshen.
Here.
Scott Kachowski. Here. Ron Fullerton. Here. Joseph Walperly. Here. Keith Daly. Here. Eric Kapadas. Here. Councilman Ranieri. Here. Dennis Vanella.
Here.
Greg Laubenstein. Here. David Rowland. Here. John Pettit.
Mr. Pettit is excused. We spoke this afternoon, and seeing as we did not have any formal application on the agenda, he will not charge us for this meeting. He's excused. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner: posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office, emailed to the Retrospect and the Courier Post. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from last meeting of January 14th. Before I move for an adoption of that, I would like to note a correction I would like to see made by the secretary. As I was reading them and going through them last month, I realized that when we were doing the nominations and whatnot, June polled everyone, and they should not have all been polled. We should not have polled the alternates. We could have polled alternate number 1 because Mr. Fullerton was not here, but Mr. Laubenstein was also polled in these things. Everything was unanimous.
Right.
It's not a problem. There won't be any necessary action to change anything, but they should not have been polled. So there should have been 9 members voting. So that I would make an amendment to the meetings. And is there any other questions on the meetings or changes? Is there a motion on the floor to accept the minutes?
I make a motion with the changes.
Motion by Mr. Opperly. Second by Mrs. Goshen. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll approve them with the changes. I did. You go read it back if you have any questions. Okay. The first order of business under new business is we have an informal hearing with Sean Ty. Sean, if you'd like to step up and be sworn in.
Excuse me, one thing, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I think to do some house cleaning, I know Ron wasn't here last
Correct.
time, so I think he was to be
That's
sworn
correct.
in again.
That is correct.
So I know Ron has had some surgery, he said, so we'll try to keep this as brief as possible. And if Ron, if you stand up, we'll make you an official member again. If you would just state your name and then try to repeat after me. I,
Ron Fullerton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Jersey,
the Constitution and laws of the state of New Jersey.
and that I will perform
I will perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board
of the office of member of the Planning and Zoning Board
of the Borough of Runnemede
of the Borough of Runnemede
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Thanks, Ron. Thank you. Good to have you. Okay, we're all set now? Okay. Mr. Ty, you want to come up?
This is my brother Eric, who's also.
Hi, Eric. Pleasure.
Who is the original veteran.
Okay. So why don't you, I guess, begin by telling us a little bit about what you're proposing at 603, and I guess for the edification of the board, first of all, why don't you give us an idea of proximity to, say, the Sports Depot, where the property is you're looking to build on?
Okay, actually, it's 605 North Blackbird Pike.
Right?
It is the former Pete's Auto Repair, which is attached to what used to be Bella Rizzo Pizza.
Yep.
The new pizza is directly across the street from Sports Depot.
Sports Depot, right.
Yes.
So this is, you want to put this in the old pizzeria?
Not the restaurant part. There is 4 garage bays, which used to be pizza auto repair. We're
Mhm.
talking about that part of the building.
Okay.
What we plan to do is to open up a craft distillery to make distilled spirits for public consumption and also retail and bar purposes.
Okay.
They have one down in the city of Camden, aren't they?
Yes.
They're distilling rum now? or-
Correct.
I just saw. Yeah, right. That's a special license from the state, isn't it?
Yes, it is a craft distillery license from the state of New Jersey. It allows production of 20,000 gallons of alcohol, which we are never going to be able to do, because we just don't have that capacity. It's
But I understand that you can't serve you can't serve except on a special event.
You can serve as long as it's connected with a tour.
Right,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
do 3 half-ounce servings per person per day.
Okay.
It's not a full bar, it's just, again.
Is this
So it's not a bar then, because you just stated that you thought it would be like a bar?
no, it's not a bar.
No,
right.
No.
But there would be a retail element?
Yes.
Are you allowed to distribute, or you have to have a distributor?
No, we can self-distribute.
Okay, you can.
Yes. The public can come in, if they are taking the floor, they can purchase up to 5 liters of our product to take out.
You contacted the ABC.
I've done research with the TTV federal,
Right.
I've also done the research for the state permit also.
You understand, we don't issue a liquor license here at all.
Right.
All we can do is tell you whether or not we think you can do a use variance.
The state craft distillery permit allows for that purpose.
So nobody can walk in off the street and do this, they have to be on a tour, is that what you're saying?
It has to be connected to the tour.
Yes, they have to take a tour of the distillery, and, the process goes through how we start, how we make everything, and how it goes from.
But 2 people can walk in and do a tour, it doesn't need to be a bus, it could be 2 people saying,
Well, that's
they
what
can have like a
I
tour.
was saying, was you need 10 people coming through on a tour,
Yeah, you can do that.
Right.
but somebody can come in off the street
Yes,
and do that.
as long as we were open to the public that time.
Okay.
And is it pretty much a weekend type of thing?
Yes, it would have to be. We both have full-time jobs to
Mhm.
begin with, so we're doing this on our off time, and to allow for a public to come in, it would most likely be maybe Friday night, Saturday afternoon, or Saturday, Sunday afternoon. depending.
Kind of similar to the wineries like down in the Swedesboro area where they do those little weekend tours and stuff like that.
Yes,
Would you be selling any type of food there?
we are not permitted to do that. The federal permit will not allow us to do that.
Is it just wine, not beer?
No, it is,
This is
spirits, whiskey, rum.
Oh, everything,
Vodka,
the whole
gin.
line.
Right.
Wow.
So no wine, no beer.
We couldn't sell
Gotcha.
wine or beer.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
That's a separate list.
I mean, the reason we chose Runnemede, we both grew up in town. I've been a member of the fire department for 30 years this year.
Right, thank you for your service.
As many of you know, my father was a former councilman.
Sure.
My mother worked in the town. We grew up here. We want to make this a local, I don't really want to say an attraction, but
Mhm.
that's what it would turn out to be. These craft distilleries are popping up all over the
Absolutely.
place. And they're getting a huge following. There's media attention coming to it, bringing people into the town. We just felt that this is our home, and this is the place we wanted to do it. We figured we could revitalize, hopefully revitalize some of the Blackers Pike area.
So there's not a formal application, so what's the question at hand here? Is it?
I think, Mayor, it's not a specifically permitted use.
Okay, it's just
So
a,
I think they would probably need a use variance, along with their.
this is not, it's not an ordinance that specifically
Right.
says distilleries.
Right, distilleries or breweries.
Or breweries.
And these are becoming in vogue now, brew
Yeah.
pubs, craft beer, and Chief and I were just talking.
Yes, I was going off that, I was going to call. I am not too versed on this, so I can't really talk, but you're saying that the ABC is permitting this? Because I know each town, when they apply, are applying so many licenses, liquor licenses. There's different types, there's club licenses or restaurant licenses. So what you're saying is that this license is only specific for distilleries?
Production.
Correct.
Production, but you're selling it also.
The license, the craft license allows us to sell retail products. It does not allow for, come into a bar and sit down and drink all night, or for.
Yeah, I completely understand, so that was my whole hang-up, I understand, so I believe that we would need something from, I guess, your attorney, whatever, sir.
Yeah, Chief,
That, I was gonna say, because I don't know what the sticking
Yeah.
point is on the ABC. on this.
they don't come under, it's more or less a permitted license, it's just directly from the state, just like a winery. We're issued by population the ability to issue so many plenary consumption and plenary distribution licenses. The town has the authority to govern that. But brew pubs, where they do craft beer, distilleries or wineries, they're issued directly from the state through the ABC.
Okay, so they would not come to me.
No,
They would go
yeah.
through the state.
Yeah, they
That's
would
my
need
question.
yeah. Now, I think they do the investigation up there, the ABC does.
Okay.
Now, since it's relatively new, the state may be coming down to the local police authorities and asking somebody in the police department to assist in the
I know it's time.
investigation. Yeah, so, but yeah, it's a direct license, a permitted, it's more or less a permit
Okay.
to a.
That was my whole thing,
Yeah.
because I know we get certain bars and clubs, they have to process, they have to go through.
The police department has to investigate.
Has to go federal first, then state.
Right.
From what I understand, it's federal first, then state.
I have, what about this craft license that you would get from the state? Like, is it do you get the license first, then you gotta find a place to operate, or?
No, and that's the problem.
Okay.
It's the other way around.
It's exactly the other way. We have to have a signed agreement,
Oh,
either lease or
okay.
purchase on the.
Before it's predicated, you get.
All the equipment has to be in place as far as the still fermenters.
So you would have to do this all up front, and there's a chance that
Security
you,
bond has to be in place before we even apply for the federal permit.
and you could get turned down, even after all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about parking there?
Plenty of parties. It's
Existing.
not,
Well, you're counting, are you counting the pizza place as well, or just in front of your area, or?
Total parking, at least in front of the area we'd be occupying, there's 9 parking spots.
Nine.
Really just 9 there, but then there's additional parking behind those 9. I don't
On the
know how
side
many
of
are
where,
on the- yeah,
7th
on the
Avenue
side,
is?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how many are in front of 603,
okay.
maybe 5 or 6 directly in front of the doors there, and then I think there's 2 handicaps.
How's the distillery, the condensers, how are they exhausted, outside, or does it stay inside?
There is no exhaust.
No exhaust?
It's a closed system, it's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's powered by electricity.
All right, so it's not like the old distilleries
Yeah,
where
it's not-
you go in with the fridge, you can smell old.
You could do that.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are gas fired, but we choose to use electric, A, because it's more efficient, and B, because there's
Because
no.
probably when you came in, the public would want to know about that too, that
Yeah.
there's no odors.
Pressurized vessels, are they?
It's not pressurized.
Not pressurized.
No.
It's, the still operates with the liquid that's inside the still gets heated to a certain temperature where the alcohol that's in that liquid turns to a vapor. It goes through the column and it comes into the condenser where it's cooled back down and it turns back into liquid again.
Will your brewers be licensed? People operating these stills, will they be licensed in what they do?
There really is no licensing process for the individual. It's gonna be us. I mean,
It's, you're looking at
You're-
right here.
what you
But the
need is-
state's gotta approve you.
Correct.
Yes.
The state has to approve, they give you.
Your operation.
Federal gives you a license, and then you have to have all your equipment certified as well. All that has to be certified.
How many gallons at a time were you thinking, what were your production?
Well, the still is 1 gallon tank, but actually the capacity is about 80 gallons, you have to do some headspace for some foaming, and this and that.
How long does it take to make
That
it?
would take about 6 to 8 hours. Well, when you're sitting there watching it, it's a little bit
I
out.
just want to let it age a little bit.
Well, I guess the question that I'm having is, you know, obviously, the use part, this group can make a decision on that. But then, the idea of, like you said, how many people are gonna be coming in and out of it, that's where the thought process goes to my mind. Like you said, is there enough parking, employees? 'Cause if we haven't really defined this,
90% of the time, it's gonna be me. Other than the tours, you know, which will be probably on Fridays and a Saturday.
and how else will you sell the product? Do you sell it online? Is that a, you have to physically come
I'm
to
not sure
home
what
and
I'll
buy
sell
it?
online, I don't know the answer to that. But as far as selling and self-distribution, it would be, whether I go into Kid Rick's and saying, hey.
So it's not even just people coming to the building, you could go out and sell it?
Yes.
We can make distribution deals with liquor stores, Joe Canals,
Yeah.
certain bars in the area. It's grassroots.
Will it be like your private label
Yes,
type of thing?
yes,
Yeah.
Do you have a name?
We do.
yeah.
However, we do not have the paperwork file to protect it.
We're not trademarked
But
yet.
I will tell you that it is a local landmark, and everybody in this town will know exactly what it is when they
That's
see it.
neat, that's great. So did you say, I understood you said that you're allowed to give 3 half-ounce servings per person
Right.
per day?
Right.
And did you also say that they're allowed to purchase, like, say, a pint or something and take it home with them?
They can purchase up to 5 liters in a bottle, in a sealed bottle. So if you would go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of Jack Daniels, it'd be the same thing. You could
Well,
buy
5 liters is a lot.
I know.
I mean, are they able to buy like a liter of, are you gonna make,
The main would be 750 milliliter, which is the normal.
right, and you said 5 liters on, you know, it's a vat.
Well, no,
They just give you a cap.
you can buy a
That's
total.
not,
Okay,
That's not,
it's a vat, per person,
correct.
5 liters.
but if you're not on the tour, it's not like you're open to sell packaged goods or anything like that.
If you come in and you say, hey, can I buy a bottle? I say, yeah, you have to take it home.
Okay.
And will there be a charge for the tour to enter in?
No.
Typically, it's free.
Okay. So it's kind of, it's free to walk in, they do the tour, and the way you make your money is you hope that they purchase your product.
Correct.
Does the 3 half ounces you said I could have, if I went in there? Does that, like, say it's Jack Daniels, I'm just throwing something, or something comparable to that, is that something that, like, would be, get you to a state of where you're intoxicated, or you have any idea?
Not unless you weigh like 15 pounds.
Right.
Okay,
But no, it would not.
that's why they limit what they do.
Most times when if you've ever done a tour and they pour, they give you like that.
Oh, okay, just to.
It's just enough to,
Just enough to
wet
taste
your
it.
whistle, just to taste it.
How many products will you have? How many different products will you have?
Was-
Eventually, 6,
Yeah.
5 or 6. Right off the bat, it's probably just gonna be 1, 2.
And the reason for that is most, the whiskey or bourbon would have to age for a number of years, so it would just be sitting in barrels, just waiting to go somewhere.
So the first year or two, everybody's getting a headache, is that what you're saying?
No, no, no. But you would be getting rum.
Vodka,
And instead of a clear
gin.
Clear liquors are.
Clear whiskey. I mean, it just, using Cooper River as an example, he's the guy in Canton.
Hmm?
He basically did his first year on rum alone. That's it. White rum. Now he's about a year in, he's just released a spiced rum. He's got a little bit of age to it, and, you know, he'll probably be doing something along the same lines.
Are you looking to purchase this building or renting it?
I'd love to purchase.
Yeah, I'd love to purchase it.
We're gonna rent that.
How many square feet is that sign?
1,500.
A little over.
And what about the facade outside? Is he gonna do anything to that, or nothing?
He, basically, the repairs are up on you.
Yeah.
We don't need to do much to the outside. We actually just need, if you're familiar with the building, he's got the stucco arches in the front. One of those on the left-hand side needs to come down. All the garage doors are still in place.
Is that right?
So we would just take one of the archways out and restore the overhead door. The extreme right side, the door's there, we have to remove that door and just put in a glass entry. The other two will stay. So there won't be much modification. Most of it's just gonna be in the interior.
So you're here tonight basically to take our temperature on what we feel about your project, basically. You realize we can't make any decisions tonight because you would have to notice all the people that you were coming in front of us for a use variance. And at that point, after that, if you are granted use variance, we can bifurcate the application and do a use variance and a site plan at the same time if you would choose to. You know, I don't think, you're not gonna have a major site plan, so, yeah, I think you would probably be able to do it the same night if you like. You know, we're gonna wanna see some conceptual drawings of what you're gonna be doing.
They're already complete.
The inside or the outside?
Both,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have an interior drawing of what we'd like to do, and we have a rendering of the outside. It's already pretty much done.
It would need to include all of your signage, everything of, you know, how much is the percentage of the facade you're gonna take up with your sign. All of that would need to be in to the professionals and to us, no less than 14 days before you would like to come in to be heard. You would need to see Joyce Pinto in the main office. She'll give you a package. That package is going to give you instructions on what you need to do as far as notification to the neighbors and things, as far as publication, as far as what you're trying to do. And then once you have all of your green cards back, you know, then there's a process that you need to do. And Joyce is very good. She's been doing it a very long time. She's very helpful. And our professionals are here to help you as well. So if, as you're going through the package, if you have a question and you want to know, is this enough or do I need more, you can, Mr. Pettit is our planning board engineer. He would probably take a visit out to the site and just, he makes up a punch list letter and he gives it to us so we can visit the site and take a look and see, okay, well, there's too much asphalt, you know, we don't have enough drainage. I mean, all those things he'll look at for you. And then Mr. Rowan, by the same token, if you have a legal question, you know, he can give you his card this evening and, you know, just give him a jingle. Because I hate to make people come back. I don't like making people come back and saying, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I want you to come in, be prepared, and I want us to be prepared. That's why we have a 14-day window. That we need everything 14 days prior to, so we have the opportunity to look at it and visit the site. And when we walk in here that night, we have some semblance of an idea of what you want to do and what we want to talk to you about.
And we guys going to apply under your own names, or did you have a?
It'll be under the business name.
All right, now, remember, in New Jersey, if you're incorporated, or you're an LLC, and you're more than a one-man entity, you have to appear with an attorney.
It's already been.
Yeah.
Very good, all right, I just didn't want you to cut in, you know, this is liquor LLC, and then, you know, it's a technicality that the statute requires. So that's fine. So if he has any questions, tell me.
I was just looking, there's 7 spaces out front and 2 handicap, 7 regular, 2 handicap out front.
How about, are you restricted by the hours from the state when you can run this? Just like, are you without open till 2 in the morning, or how would?
There is no restrictions on the hours when you will be open, but
But we can do that, we can dictate as part of their
I mean, I'm sure you're not doing tours at 2 in the morning.
no, we would not do
Yeah,
it.
okay.
But we did that, Dennis, just for your edification, we did that with the hall. The first year they were open, we limited their hours just because their property abuts residential properties. So we didn't know what type of, you know, you never know until they open. So we put some restrictions on their hours for the first year, and, you know, they complied and everything worked out well.
And then they raised it after that, or you?
You know what, they did not need to come before us to
Okay.
raise it. There was only going to be, if there was a problem, we were going to let them know. If the police had a problem, they were going to let us know, so
You can call.
they didn't need to come back before us.
All right.
Any other board members have any questions for these gentlemen?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
We would,
Thanks for coming.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Tell Mom and Dad we said hi.
I will do.
Yeah. Okay, we did have an informal application with Verizon on the agenda tonight. I don't see anyone from Verizon here. June did not tell me that they had canceled, so we'll continue on with the meeting, and if they arrive late, we will hear their informal, and if not, I will have June reach out to them and we'll reschedule. Under,
Is there anything we just want to do is look at this, and everyone read the attachment that came with it? I'm a little confused why this would even be brought in front of us. It just looks like it's an attachment to the building. Is this something that came with?
Yes.
Yeah, was there a reason why you thought they needed to come in front of us?
no, I didn't tell them that to come in front of us. I think that they basically just sent this and,
As a courtesy on
as a courtesy, and I was of the understanding from June that I thought they were going to just come in and take our temperature on it. There was no footprint disturbance, to the best of my knowledge.
The antenna is 8 inches above the roof line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, frankly, I think if we would like to have Mr. Pettit take a look at it, I talked to Mr. Pettit about an hour and a half ago, and unfortunately, Mr. Stillwell did not forward this to Mr. Pettit, who would have really been the person to forward it to. So I can reach out to Mr. Pettit, forward this to him, and if there's no objection from anybody else on the board, leave it in Mr. Pettit's hands, that if he thinks that there's going to be any substantial problem with this, that he can ask them to come before us, and if not, he can contact Mr. Knight and let him know that the board has no problem with this minor change.
What were you thinking? Because we don't regulate these type, this is a new type of antenna
Yes,
that's
because
now.
of the new technology.
It's new technology and we don't have anything that talks about this.
Want to make sure that it wasn't not in compliance with anything that we may have.
Yeah, I've heard that this might be the new thing where a bunch of small antennas.
Yes.
Is that what everybody's hearing? Those from this, instead of the large?
Those are the big
I think we have one outside in the police department.
A small,
We have a small antenna, if you look outside, on the police department when we got our new system put in.
the new radio.
Years ago, you all remember the old police station, you have that, it's actually probably still back there, that monstrous metal thing, you know?
Now we're gonna
Now
sell
it's
it
very
back.
small,
Yeah,
it's
2
maybe
feet, less than
2
2 feet.
feet, and it's perhaps, it's attached alongside the building.
I think it's a very minor impact myself. But like I said, Mr. Pettit did not receive this, and I think that's where possibly the miscommunication transpired. So we'll get this sent off to Mr. Pettit, and does anyone have an objection that if Mr. Pettit is comfortable with this, that he contacts Mr. Knight and allows Mr. Stillwell to move on with this?
It's a good plan.
The other thing is if this board thinks that we need to address this anywhere, like, do we need an ordinance? I don't mean to make more ordinances, but, you know, if you think we need to amend Keith, did you have a suggestion?
Yes, I think it should, possibly if it goes to Mr. Pettit for review, to come up with an up-to-date ordinance, so we have something that explains it,
Yeah.
the technology here.
Well, because there's going to be people
They
that,
get a permit and all that stuff.
Exactly.
well, there's people, this gentleman wants, I think it was an 8-inch antenna.
Yeah.
We need something in an ordinance that dictates, you know, there's going to be 8 inches, 28, 58. You know, we can't just say that these are now okay, a blanket okay on all these. We have to set some parameters. And then if they need, you know, to expand upon those parameters, at that point in time, they can come in front of us and say, okay, you guys allow 12 foot, I happen to need 15 foot, can I get an approval on that? At that point in time, on a case-by-case basis, they come in and we can either approve it or deny it. So we'll ask Mr. Pettit to review, an update, an ordinance for us.
I think it would be like any other ordinance you have, once you enact what the size, what the antennas that are allowed, and as you indicated, if they wanted to exceed it, there would be a mechanism in there Or if it's not in compliance, you would have
Right.
to seek a variance.
That makes it easy for you.
Yes, maybe.
When you go out there, you can say, okay, 8 inches is permitted, 10 inches is permitted, 12 inches is not.
Right,
You gotta go see the planning board.
exactly.
It's-
So I'm guessing these are just a bit smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
You know, by the time we approve something, it's gonna be obsolete. It'll be under something, you know.
All right. Well, we'll go along with that, that's okay with everyone. Other things that I have under old business, do we have a report from the tax map subcommittee? Did you guys meet about the tax map?
You know what, we did not. The only thing I will say, it has been brought up to the management of the borough was also got involved to discuss vacating some of these roads. Mr. Knight has already sent a letter to us, basically stating that certain parcels on this tax map should be vacated because they're just too small to do anything, and they're just a burden on the borough. So, and you sent what, two
Yeah,
different properties?
two different properties that are really of no advantage to the borough. It's just a maintenance issue between Public Works, vacating the grass
And what we're gonna do with them?
and sidewalks.
They would become the adjacent properties, which is Ketchum. So in one case, I think Mr. Knight had pointed out on Washington Avenue,
That's a 135
it was a regular shape, the lot that's right there, you would just increase by 20 feet or
He would
whatever.
just pay a tax on that.
And it would be just that minimal.
Right, there would be no fee to the person receiving the property, just the assumption of the additional tax for the additional footage.
Yes, and we've done this before, we vacated the land at Detmar, we vacated the walking paths, so it's not like it's something.
Is that on the corner of Washington and Haverford?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, we used to have a little, like
There's a bench.
a bench, a little park. Yeah, does the homeowner have to accept that, or?
Yes.
They do, okay.
I think it's called Liberty Park.
Right.
I mean, unless you thought we should keep it, I mean, Mr. Knight works on it, but it's a,
Is that paid per year on
it'd be a small fee, it's based on the frontage of the property, but the impact, for, give an example, when we vacated the land on,
Yeah.
Detmar, I think the taxes were $200.
Yeah.
And that was pretty substantial, because people, I mean, it was 25 feet by 100, and it was a
Right.
small, I think it was a small amount. Same thing with the walkway, the walking paths from Triton High School.
Yeah, yeah, not,
They were nominal charges.
but that guy incurs a lot of sidewalk between Washington.
He does.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues, because Public Works have to repair the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Sidewalk,
Certainly during the
maintain the
winter
sidewalk.
season, they have to maintain
I did speak to the gentleman one time, and
Right.
the other property, there's
Yeah, I did.
a detached garage.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, he seemed somewhat receptive, I think he had moved away and came back, so it's always nicer if they're receptive.
Yeah.
Now, when we vacate the streets, the way that process, there's actually a book, vacated streets down in the county, and you simply, you just don't even have to file new deeds, it's just a removal of that easement, which actually the property owner grants the borough for that road.
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
If we vacate properties that are in need of property maintenance and things, bring them up to code, I don't think it should be incumbent on the person that we're forcing the property onto to suddenly have to put up a retaining wall that has been in disrepair or put sidewalks in that have been in disrepair when they didn't purchase that property to begin with. I don't think it's fair. They need to incur all of a sudden additional taxes and suddenly $10,000 in repairs to bring that property that they didn't even ask for up to code before Mr. Knight knocks on the door and says, you're not up to
I
code,
think that's a good
I'm
point.
going to fine you. That's not fair.
Yeah, what legal recourse do they have?
Well, I think Mr. Knight, you know, we don't have to do anything, really. If you know, the borough has done nothing on any of this for decades. But I think it makes a good point. If Mr. Knight went out there and there were violations, I think the borough should have that responsibility to fix it
Bring it up to code.
before we give it on to somebody else. So if there are sidewalk repairs, and I think that's what you're pointing out,
Absolutely.
and Mr. Knight's been basically charged to cite the borough. He's not supposed to treat us any different than any resident or any business in this town. So,
But I mean,
but you know, he has cited us.
Right. But
Mr. Walker and I are attested to that. We cleaned the fence one time to help the municipality out. But
that could be
I think
debilitating.
that's a great point, though.
That could be debilitating on a senior citizen, you know, that their life savings might be $10,000 and all of a sudden that it's going to be incumbent upon them to put new sidewalks in, and then you want the
No, it
property.
definitely needs to be beneficial. Every time we've done this, the last 5 or 6 times we've done this, it has been beneficial.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm all about the 40-year rule. I don't like the 40-year rule.
Yes.
I want things to move forward, but I just want them to move in the
I
right
think we definitely
direction.
look at the sidewalk, look at the trees.
Look at trees, in case, like Hirsch, the vegetation is definitely overgrown
Yeah.
there and needs to be brought into
And
compliance.
we do have a liability to maintain that, so.
But do they have a recourse if they don't want that?
No.
They don't?
Well, I'm sure
Yeah, I think, yeah.
if they wanted to, they could try, but.
Yeah, I guess they could go to court, I mean,
Yeah.
especially if it was an economic impact.
It's like reverse eminent
Yeah,
domain.
yeah.
Just start taking their stuff,
Yeah.
giving them stuff and making them
Just
pay
says
for it.
township,
Yeah.
or it says it.
Like I said, it's been usually
Is that a
3%.
state thing? Is that a state thing?
Yeah, I think it's state, yeah.
Wasn't that the craziest thing?
Yeah. Yeah, vacating the land is, well, I think it was brought to my attention, if you remember the Trap Rock property, if you look at the map, you'll notice that there's paper streets going through there, and I think at one point they came in front of this board
Yes, it did.
to put a concrete crushing thing, and I heard that was one of the reasons, they don't own all that land. So, we do, granted, I think we should vacate that land, but there was a restriction at the time.
That's the darndest thing.
So, we'll look at it, don't be wrong, this was not created in one day, we're not gonna fix all this stuff in one day.
Okay, also, under, anything else on the tax map discussion? Anybody else have anything to add to the tax map discussion? I know we have
I
some,
have a question about the area between R3 and R2, public areas back there. Isn't that where the water tower is and the electric company? I don't know how that can be public land.
Well, when the map was done by the borough engineer, he did not differentiate between borough-owned property, county-owned property, and utility-owned property, or the school property. I think our recommendation is going to be to change that. You're 100% right. That quasi-public land is utility. As we all know, that's Triton High School, it's shown up as just public land.
yeah,
So I think we're gonna do a better job of separating those, so that we know the difference.
How about this R3,
I questioned that when the master plan was reviewed.
I did too, and nobody seemed to know anything, and I said, isn't that like in the swamp?
It is in the swamp, and that's a very strange use for that area back there.
I mean, there's no,
It needs to be defined as something, but I don't know if part three is.
there's no access, there's no road.
Well, I recall that it's owned, no, this one all the way back out here.
Oh, that one, okay.
Yeah.
That
If I recall, that's privately owned, and someone was thinking about putting a billboard up there.
Yes.
They did, they never did put it up. I remember we approved that.
Because
We
the,
approved that.
but I was actually contacted by someone, there may be a change to the law. The state of New Jersey is now going to allow billboards along the turnpike. So,
Well, this was all, I think it's gonna,
well, it is, if actually that R3, that's 42 in the turnpike.
but, we had worked a deal with them, they're gonna have, well, Runnemede on it, remember that?
Yeah, they never did it.
But, why is it residential? I mean, you really can't live on that property, there's no way in and around.
When we redo the master plan, we'll look at that one again.
swamp signage only.
Because, I was walking around one time, I said, I didn't even know how you get to it.
Now, that approval would have disappeared by now, correct? Mr. Ryan, would that, if the board had done an approval many years ago,
Right.
and the applicant did not move forward with it, that application would die?
Yeah, we got, yeah, the approvals are.
So they have to come back.
Unless he renewed his approval. And then you only get, I think, a total of like 2 renewals for 40 years or.
Yeah, you went up and.
Yeah,
I was
Years,
wondering what
that,
happened.
that's why it expired.
It expired, okay.
How long is it, when you approve something, how long?
Usually you get 2 years and then you can, 4 years, and I think you can get it extended for an additional 2 years. Or I'd have to check the statute.
And they've changed the
But I
laws
know
a couple
you
times.
can come in and get extended twice. I forget whether it's a 1-year renewal or a 2-year. But you have to make that application before your original approval expires. You can't let it expire and then come back.
Last thing I have under old business is the Schubert Avenue retaining wall. Yeah, David, how we doing with that?
Yeah, I reviewed all the documents that Keith had sent and Brian from John's office, and I think it's actionable that you could cite the man, even though we don't have the exact date of the, when the resolution was passed. There's enough information and correspondence going back to 1983 that references an approval. It references the site plan and the description of the work that was to be done, and it was never done. There were tickets issued to Mr. Mazzetti back in '85 for failure to comply with the site plan review. I don't know what the court records are on that, but I think if he hasn't done it, the borough should give him notice to do it or cite him and bring him in. And there's enough for our prosecutor to base a case on. The thing that I was concerned about is we were never able to come up with that resolution. But there's enough reference by township
To
officials.
show a history.
And a history, that they're referring to a resolution, they have the documents of what the man proposed, and plus with Brian's report, it is a maintenance issue.
Right,
so-
and we still need to get paid, for what we paid Mr. Pettit
Right,
as
and
well.
I think the court should, or the prosecutor should ask for that when a final adjudication is made.
Keith, have you spoken to Mr. Mazzetti lately?
Yes, on January 23rd, 12:48 hours, I did meet with Mr. and Mrs. Mazziotti at their location, and delivered him a copy of the report as prepared by the Pettit engineers, and also advised him that I was sending him a notice of violation under Borough Code 28117, which is site maintenance, which reads the following. All landscaping, artificial lighting, buffer areas, or any other restrictions, conditions required by a zoning variance and/or site plan approval shall be installed, maintained in accordance with said approval for the life of the approved use or structure. And I advised him I sent it out to him regular certified mail, which I did get the return receipt that they have received. I explained to him his options were obviously one, to comply with the report that was made, or two, by the abatement date, which is February 23rd, which is 30 days, or to submit a letter of extension to me, requesting an extension of time to comply with the report. Or if neither of those actions were taken by them, that at that time I would issue a summons to the municipal court.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have it under control.
Yeah, the documentation's there, so I
Great.
don't think the borough would have
Good.
trouble being successful with any legal action.
So we're 12 days from abatement. Okay, we're 12 days from abatement.
Thank you all.
You are welcome, and, you know, Mr. Knight has been very diligent in this matter, as is Mr. Relian and Mr. Pettit's office, so we hope it works out well for you without, you know, having to have Mr. Mazziotti go to court, but,
I'm sure that'll happen too.
all right.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you
sir.
for your help.
You're welcome.
Enjoy.
Is there anything else under old business? Okay, under communications, I did receive something from Joyce Pinto, and it was in regards to a e-cigarette lounge. And I'll just quickly read a abridged. I received a call today from Matt from the Camden County Health Department, who advised me he had received a complaint about a proposed business at 701 North Black Horse Pike. The proposed business is an e-cigarette lounge. Matt claims that under New Jersey Clean Air statute, this is illegal, but the attorneys for these companies are trying to bully small towns into allowing them in. I gave this number to Mr. Keith Knight. Don't know where this proposed business is in the process of applying. Not sure if this could be a zoning board issue, Joyce. That was for edification, just so we know someone might be marching in here for the American Appliance Store and wanting to put an e-cigarette lounge, and they are not allowed as per New Jersey statute. So
What would they do, sit around and smoke a cigarette?
So the owner of the property can get a certificate of occupancy for a retail store for the e-cigarettes.
Okay.
So,
To sell them, right, exactly, retail
They
store.
could sell them, I guess.
Right, to sell them because
It's
it's,
already in town.
Yeah.
yeah, it's zoned commercial.
CVS or whatever.
It's zoned commercial, and it was for retail sales. I spoke to Mr. Grohuski from the county after receiving that, and coincidentally, I was in there that day as a follow-up to another complaint regarding the facility, the condition of the facility.
Okay.
And I explained to Mr. Grohuski the fact that there was a retail store. He said, was there any lounge or chairs? I said, no. Throughout the whole building, there was no lounge area where there were people lounging, I guess, and utilizing this product. I said, however, at the counter, they were demonstrating, which I imagine just like any product that you're selling, you demonstrate to the customers, but there was no actual lounge within the store. I indicated to him that if it is a violation of the clean air, it's something of the health issue that the health would pursue. He indicated to me that he would speak to his boss to discuss further action on these stores. But as of now, the store, as long as it's a retail store, just selling these, it is not a lounge unless it's
Right.
changed under unauthorized.
Is there allowed to light them and try them out?
Well,
Yeah, it's a big,
I understand, but it's still something that,
I think they're illegal in stores in New Jersey, is that right?
yeah, I thought so as well.
that's why I referred it, because of the fact that, and there was, I have an article on it,
And he
referred it to the health department.
Guys, we can't hear everybody, hang on. I'm sorry, Dennis, you have the floor. I'm sorry.
Now, Keith was saying, my question was, is he on the corner building?
Yes.
Does he have permission to subdivide the rest of that, or no, or is this all under one?
It's on the end unit, I went in there to
So he's got
ascertain
a
the
CO for that?
Yes,
That part?
for that part,
Right, okay.
only that part. And I went in there, that was part of the reason that I was in there, to make sure that no construction work was performed without permits.
Okay.
Just as a side note, the rest of the building, according to the building owner, as I walked through,
Right.
was
Disarray.
vandalized by the
Yeah,
former tenant.
I've been in there before. as well.
Yeah, the wiring and everything,
Mhm.
and the ceiling. They said
Basement.
it's a legal issue now. But as far as the actual store, it's only the end unit,
Okay.
and they're just restricted to that area for retail sales.
Okay. Just wanted to bring everyone's attention, what's going on there, and if it comes up in front of us for a lounge, we'll have more information as it comes forth to us, okay? Okay, under my report, I would just like to take a few moments to discuss our conceptual/informal review request. There we have a copy of this, with an email to you, if not, we had extra copies. This is an application that we are going to try to set forth going forward, so is that this board and our professionals are more prepared when someone comes in for an informal. It's very difficult for all of us and the professionals to make any type of educated conversation when something's put in front of us 10 minutes of 7, and we don't know what the questions might be, we don't know what the use might be. It's I think much more advantageous to all of us, the applicant and the members and the professionals, to have some type of information, again, no less than 14 days prior to the informal, so we can take a look at it and have the professionals look at it for us, give us any type of instruction that they would like to see happen, and we have it in front of us for review 14 days or more before the applicant comes in for an informal. I guess you can read along. A prospective applicant or other interested party may, upon payment of a designated fee, which we have not designated yet, including escrows for professional review and submission of a conceptual/informal review request application, request the planning/zoning board to make an informal, non-binding review of a proposed project or use of a site situated in any designated zoning district. The Planning and Zoning Board may, after review of the proposed project or use, make certain comments and/or recommendations which may assist a prospective applicant or other interested party in making a determination as to the viability of a proposed project or use in that designated zoning district. All requests for a review shall be made by submitting, we'll request probably 14 copies of an application form as it may be prescribed, which shall be submitted along with the prescribed fees 14 days before the matter is scheduled for review. Any comment or recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board District are intended to be used by a prospective applicant or interested party in determining whether or not a formal application will be made and are not to be construed as a pre-approval or denial of any application thereafter made. So basically what we're trying to do is not put ourselves in a position where someone walks in and says, you know, I want to, put a tree farm up, and we don't have any idea of where they're talking about, what they're talking about. They'll need to answer some of the questions on the back page. That will help us out a little bit. As you can see, it's not a very complicated form. It's pretty benign form that wouldn't require an attorney or anything like that. It would just give us some assistance in assisting them. We did not discuss any type of a fee as of yet. We're not looking to, to again have something incumbent on the person to discourage them from coming in. I think it's always a good idea for people to come in and shake some ideas around. I think it's good for all of us. By the same token, we need to have some heads up on what we're going to be talking about that night. David, do you think that we could set an application fee based upon, be it a commercial or residential? I mean, obviously, commercials is going to require you and Mr. Pettit to do some research and whatnot, whereas a residential might be much less. Someone wants to come in
I think that would be
and put a deck on.
Right.
I don't think that's going to require you and Mr. Pettit doing as much work as if someone, wants to do something.
Put a housing development in as well.
Yeah.
But wouldn't their fees be covered by an escrow also? Because, is the fee going to cover the review of the engineer and the attorney, or is the fee
I think,
offset?
I thought maybe the fee would just be go to the borough, and then the borough could decide, or we decide what escrow there should be.
And that's what you would differentiate?
Yeah, I
between
think
commercial
commercial versus residential, because I think if someone wants to put a back porch on and they have some questions and they want to come in, then obviously I still want to take a ride out and say, well, if that back porch is going to be encroaching upon their neighbor or something. But if somebody wants to do something, if Kid Rippers decides they would like to put a deck out in front of the building, and they want to come in and talk about it informally before they put a site plan forth, that's obviously going to require much more attention by Mr. Rowan and Mr. Pettit before they can come and give us a punch list and give us some information that we can, base our discussion upon. So I think residential.
Plus, it doesn't burn down, what we talked before, an applicant doesn't spend a lot of money. You
Right.
come up and say,
With an attorney.
well, we're basically saying, well,
Yeah.
no, we're not going to give it to you.
Right.
You're off the wall.
We're- We don't want people spending, I've seen people come in front of me, they're 15 years, I look at them and they have a planner, they might have a sound engineer, they have an attorney, and they walk in here and we look at each other and we're like, no, this isn't even close. And you feel bad because they just spent $1,200 to walk in the door when it's not something that's really going to happen, and it just helps the people not spend a lot of money on site plan and all that stuff. They come in and they've already spent $10,000 and we have,
They're going nowhere.
and we can't entertain the notion because it's a definite not allowed use, So, David, do you have an idea of a fee that other towns of our size and stature might charge for this?
I've seen fees anywhere from $25 to $100, depending on obviously, the larger the town,
Right.
it seems that their fees are large.
Well, do you think $100 would be enough to cover you and Mr. Pettit if you have to go out? That's what I'm a little worried about. I know it's only an
My
informal.
review would not be as extensive as John's.
Right.
Really, I mean, I wouldn't worry about the legal review more than, I guess, maybe John's time and maybe going out there and taking a look.
A lot of times there are questions about the ordinance and your.
Yeah, no, I understand, yeah, but I think the
Spending
engineering
on-
escrows are traditionally greater than the legal escrows. But it was, I don't know, what is it now? What's the regular application now for a site plan? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, Joyce handles.
All right. Yeah.
And we would have the changes in the ordinance then to add this as a.
Yeah,
to cut the fee, we'll have to put this in.
this, we have to recommend this to the borough, to you guys, and, you'd have to make a decision or vote it in so we could put it in. A lot of towns do have this conceptual review.
Workshops, they call.
Yeah, what makes some from workshops or,
Right.
and it's really to see if a project is viable. that
I don't think
somebody
$50 is excessive for residential. I personally don't think $200 is excessive
Yeah,
for a commercial, because I think if Mr.
If you think the $200 will cover the legal side, and then what do we do for the engineering?
Well, I don't know, if we should, that's what I'm trying to say, is there something we can do,
Could there
a
be,
case by case type of
I
thing?
mean, just to have John's office to go out and look at that retaining wall cost the borough
$600.
$600. So, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think we have to limit what we're going to have these gentlemen do.
Yeah,
I think if we set it at, say, 50 for residential and 200 for, you know what your billing fees are per hour. I think we're going to limit what we ask you fellows to do. And, if they come in informally, like these gentlemen did this evening, they walked away, I think, with some good information. I think we're going to walk away with some good information. And that's all good and well. And if we find that something is definitely more involved than what we're comfortable with, then they're going to have to take their chances and get an attorney and do the full-blown escrows. But I just don't want anybody coming in front of us at all for an informal without us having something.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe I don't know what the escrows are now for legal and engineering, but maybe.
I want to say it's 500 and 1,000, is that so?
Okay, or maybe we should wait until John to see what he would feel comfortable with,
Well, again, I don't,
an idea.
okay, that's fine. We're not, the 40-year rule, we can wait.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect the engineer to do a written.
Correct, no. We
Like
want
he
something,
did with the
No.
Mazzetti matter, where he.
no, we can't get involved in that
That's
at all.
right, yeah, that gets involved. But, no, that the board can determine.
Yeah, basically, I think it's nice, so if you get something like this, and this is filled out for you, you can at least say, okay, what's the description of the proposed project, and what's the proposed use?
Right.
You can already know in your mind and forward to us, okay, this is not a proposed, this is not a permitted use
Yeah,
at all.
right.
Here's what are the buts, and, you can already have some information for us to have
Right.
ahead of time. That's really all we're looking to do. We're not looking for a site plan, we're not looking for, to have everything in front of us. That's when they come in.
Right. And the applicant should advise us what zoning district they are, so June's not looking it up for them.
Right.
There's zoning maps, they can go in and take a look and describe it to us.
Is there any other, we're going to table this for this evening because, like Mr. Rowan said, I think we should get Mr. Pettit's input on it before we set the fees. Is there any other discussion on this you'd like to change or add or delete?
I was wondering, David, in your experience, any of the other towns use that preliminary fee against if they're going for a formal application?
Now, usually they have a new set of fees.
So they would have to pay
Yeah,
both?
yeah,
If you
yeah.
said to them,
That's why we're trying to make it small.
But usually the formal fees or when the application, they're usually a lot greater. Now, I've said some,
Oh, yeah.
I think the Voorhees, it's a minimum of $500
Right.
just for the application fee. That's not including the escrows.
And we're setting small fees to try to save on big fees. That's the whole idea, is we
Right,
don't
but I'm
want
wondering
to
if they can apply some of that preliminary, some of the informal against what they would, if they do have to further. Yeah,
So that should,
But they had to make,
they
you know,
wanted to,
words.
and they would come in formally and pay
Yeah.
the price, and if you don't make it, you don't make it.
I
This
think,
way, they're just, like she said,
but
they
then we have to pay
have to,
twice.
that's their fault. Because they have to find out what they think.
I think this is geared really to benefit an applicant
Absolutely.
coming into our town, either commercial or residential. So they get,
Absolutely.
we can't make a decision, we can't say don't, but, you know, we can advise them what the,
Right.
legally, I can advise them, well, these are the.
they're gonna get a whole lot more than $50 worth of information when they
Right,
come in
yeah,
front of us,
absolutely.
without a
You're-
doubt.
yeah.
They're gonna get you, they're gonna get us, they're gonna get Mr. Pettit, they're gonna get a whole lot for their $50 or $200 that I think will save them money in the long run, should they move forward, without doubt.
Yeah, I think it covers all the bases there. You know, people don't, walking off the street, waste our time,
Right,
and yet we're compensated in case he does have to do anything.
and we're prepared to speak to that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, that I wanna be prepared when someone comes in, you know, I wanna look at something a few days ahead of time, not 10 minutes
You know
before.
what else too, is a good point with it, when they do this, a lot of times they come in and we say, that's got nothing to do with us.
Right,
And now we're avoiding
yeah,
maybe 3 people out of a year, but
right. It's
it's still
not
people
within
that have
our,
nothing to do with us.
yeah, it's not within our
like we're
purview.
council.
And then we have something formally in place, because I know that the board is really accommodating to people. Oh, can you do me a favor and get me one in the next 2 days? So now.
Yeah, that's
it
done.
takes off, it can't,
Yeah,
or June.
we
No,
can't
we
do
can't
that.
do it, it's
Can't do
14
it.
days.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that, but I don't like the fact that if we're gonna let them come in here for $100 or $300, and then we're gonna have John and Dave do other work, I mean, aren't we kind of, I thought informal is, hey, you know what, let's get the board's opinion, and then maybe Dave sends him a letter and says, hey, after review with the board, this is, we feel, you know, you should proceed, or this is what we're.
I don't think we can do that
No.
then, because now we're acting like we made a pre.
No, we can't do that.
Okay. But
We're just here to express what, no, this is what our ordinances say, these are maybe what your burdens would be, this is what you would have to show us, you know.
We can't even pull the board, we can't even pull the board.
No, okay, I understand that, but you're charging somebody $100, whatever the fee is, but then you want Dave and John to do other work,
Not necessarily.
no?
No, the $100 or whatever,
Well, what's the escrow then?
there's not gonna, well, right then, all that money is basically for them to come in front of us, and that will be for them to look at this piece of paper before they come in. And then they can.
What, the $100 or the $100 plus?
No,
Okay.
no, we're just, we're thinking probably $50 for a resident and $200 for a commercial. And that's going to be for these gentlemen and for us. We're gonna get paid, obviously, we're gonna get paid anyway.
Right.
But for these gentlemen,
I think it's cheap.
it is cheap.
Well, I just looked at our ordinance, and we only charge $100 for a minor site plan fee as it is.
Right.
I know we're very inexpensive, and we charge $150 for a major site plan.
Yeah.
And our escrow is $1,000, but it is clear in there that any costs that our solicitor or our engineer has to be reimbursed.
Right.
So it is easy, you know, if the engineer goes out several times, it could be a couple
Oh,
thousand dollars.
yeah, sure.
You know.
That might
Depending on
be
the
something
size.
the borough, that's.
Well, now that I'm looking at it, do you know when the date of the fees were filed? 1987.
Yeah, we just talked about that last year. We talked,
You might wanna, with inflation, they wanna bump
Yeah,
it
the
up.
$1,000.
Fees, deposits, and other
But,
charges was,
Like he's saying, he's gotta go, or
February
John's gotta go
3rd.
out a couple other times, it should be in there that, you know, in the event that the engineer has to go out multiple times, then,
he won't do that for this.
no,
No, that,
no, not
that,
for this, I'm just talking for regular, like Nick brought up, regular.
oh, yeah,
escrow.
that's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to pay all the professionals' fees.
the only thing else that I've seen in other municipalities,
Right.
the only things I've seen in other municipalities is these workshops. So, for example, in my business, we've gone in front of it's not a quorum of the board.
Right, okay.
Have you ever done that, where you go in front of 3 or 4 members, or the chairman and maybe 2 other members? You might go, it's not a formal meeting, you're just basically sitting down and getting a feel, which is, I think, what you're trying to
Right,
get
and
at.
I think that's.
But that's different than what we've done these past few months that I've been on the board.
Yeah.
We've had interpretations, because I think our zoning officer has said our ordinance hasn't been clear enough. You know, we didn't list every single thing. Now, other municipalities might bring everybody in for every one of these. You know, in other towns, you don't get a chance
No.
at the apple, and
Right.
just, you know, we say, oh, you know what?
And what we've been able to
This
do,
is, you know, we're very different.
yeah, what we've been able to do in a few instances is when Mr. Knight, or before him, Mr. Warburton would, tell someone, oh, this is a problem, I have to go in front of the board. We allowed someone to come in informally, and, you know, David and the board and Mr. Pettit would discuss it and review the ordinances and say, well, you know what? Our interpretation is that, no, you're okay. And they walk away and they're done. Then they have to come back. We say,
No, I know.
we say, call Mr. Knight, tell Mr. Knight that,
Interpretation is big.
that the board settled on interpretation, that you are allowed to put the mother-in-law
Yeah.
stairway in or something, and they're done. So that's huge for $50 versus paying a lawyer and making a
Right.
site plan and doing all those crazy things.
But they still gotta comply with everything that Keith issues or.
Right, but
or
interpretation-
Codes or whatever.
Yeah, but interpretation is really big.
Yes, it is.
That's what a lot of
Oh, I
informals,
agree.
a lot of informals are about interpretation.
Mhm.
Because they'll come in and they'll have a piece of paper, it's black and white, and that's where we want this set up ahead of time, so Mr. Rowan can have already done his homework, have necessary ordinances in front of us all before we sit down 7 o'clock on the second Wednesday,
Right.
and we all have some idea of what we think our interpretation should be, and then we discuss it and go from there. You know, so I think in that aspect as well, it saves the applicant time, money, and aggravation. It's a nice feeling to let them walk out and say, good luck with that.
Yeah,
Everything's
no,
good.
no, I
It's a
agree.
nice feeling.
I just think $50 is cheap.
It is,
Yeah.
but do we, and that's fine, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
I'm not the one deciding, I'm just suggesting if you think it should be higher, then majority rules.
Well, once again, if we're gonna do the fee to cover the cost of our legal counsel and our engineer, it should be enough to at least cover them. We don't need to make any money.
Yeah,
honestly,
we're not
I'm not making
On
money.
that, things like that. Obviously, the reason we have a fee for this board, though,
What to do with John's here?
Yeah, let's wait till John's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, because he would be doing, you know, especially if it was a commercial, conceptual review, he's gonna be doing a lot more work than,
Right.
you know, Buchanan. I would be looking up the step, you know, our ordinance and.
I think it's unfair when you're sitting there going through the books and someone's
Oh,
saying,
yeah,
yeah.
a microphone, and,
And we're up here,
Yeah,
we don't even have to.
it's sometimes hard to do it, and you gotta make a quick response.
Yeah, it's just not good for anybody. All right, well, we're gonna table that until John is here, and we'll take that from there, and Mr. Dickinson will be here as well, and he can give his opinion. Does everybody have their email to, have they given it to June? Because we need to get you emails because of the Open Public Record Act. We all need to have your emails set up by Mr. Wright.
I've been getting emails from you.
But on your personal email, correct? Okay, we can't do that. I need everybody, we need to get in contact with Rich, and Rich needs to give you all the new members that don't have our emails. I mean, I know our chief has one, I have
well, you can
one.
waive that. I mean, but be prepared, though, if there was that, someone wanted to look at your
Right.
emails, they could go look at all
They
your.
can look at all your personal ones. If
So you
there's,
can decide if that's. more
So who do we get in charge?
Mr. Wright, Richie Wright. Richie.
Oh, so call in and get
Yeah, just,
on the email?
yeah, we want to get Runnemede, and I think it's smart to do, because if somebody wants to see all the correspondence relative to their application, they can subpoena all your emails, which would be all of your personal emails. Whereas with my borough email, they get my borough email, and that's it. You know, I think it's proactive that we do. But again, like Nick said, it's your decision, but,
I'm gonna need it.
yeah, so I think it would be, I do. Yes.
What is that?
Mine's Kate, it's Kate Cleanhammer, Runnemede, NewJersey.org.
Engine.
And
All of them
yeah,
will be the
sorry.
same.
Yeah,
First
just your
initial,
first-
last name, and then runnemede.nj.org. That's basically the borough-wide email.
And it's no big deal, we'll set it up, we'll send you, we'll email you
So we don't
something.
have to do it.
No, just call Rich.
Oh, we have to call.
Yeah, I will call him and say, I'll call Joyce.
939-5161.
Yeah, I think we should really circulate all of our, it's been a long time coming, we've had some members, and Mr. Dickinson's one of them, that doesn't communicate through email. That's fine, but I think most of us now all communicate through email, so I think that's the prudent thing to do.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have on my report. At this point in time, I'd like to open up the meeting to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter at all, please step forward and be sworn in. Food and welfare is open.
Email, I make a motion to close the.
I make a motion.
All right, motion